A brand new Premier League season, the same old fantastic duo of guests we have on board again this season. Locked them down for another year on contract, year on year, rolling. Adrian, Clarke, top right of your screen if you're watching us now live on Matchbook social channels. Mark O'Hare at the bottom of the screen as well. Mark O'Hare, it's the start of another season. It felt like only a couple of minutes ago that we were just previewing the Euros final. And you got that one right. Well done. You see, I'm going to have to do a bit of recap on that one as well, since that was our last show. The draw was a terrific show. But Mark O'Hare, in terms of, there's a bit of excitement with people getting stuck in. You guys that We Love Betting have produced a terrific season-long preview as well. I would advise people to very much check that out. But in terms of the excitement, and you don't want to get too carried away in the first couple of weeks. Bankroll management is key in the middle of August.
Yeah, for sure. There's two schools of thought, really. Some people suggest it's the best time to bet because the markets haven't fully formed. They're probably running off last season's ratings and team news, or kind of getting a bit of an inside look into certain teams gives you a head start, really. But the other school of thought is to sort of keep things reasonably cool for the first few weeks until we understand where these teams are at. But I kind of fall into a bit of both. So if I do see an opportunity which I think is underexploited, I will go and try and get involved. Obviously burnt me last week because I'll come to them later, but Swindon Town looked in an awful mess 3 weeks ago. So I went pretty big on Scunthorpe to go well against them. And obviously in that 3 week time, Swindon were able to get a new owner, a new coach, and a pretty much a brand new team as well. And it kind of hurt me a little bit. But you've got to judge these kind of things as they come, really. So I kind of fall into both brackets, but I've seen both arguments for it's just whatever works for you, really. I know some people won't bet until September, and that's absolutely fair enough.
And Adrian, Clarke, I suppose very much a different feel to this season with the fans being back on board. And last season, you attacked the unders in the EFL quite extensively early doors. We felt that a lot of these games were going to be a bit more flat and whatnot. I'm thinking it may be not a similar approach this year. Are we going to change it up a bit?
Well, look, I love an EFL under, so that they will definitely feature. I'm not just going to toss them aside. They were good to me last year, but no, I feel that the return of fans will make a difference. It will liven up the matches. There were a lot of sterile affairs last season. Just take a look at the Championship from last weekend. 2.83 goals per match with full houses or open attendances. The average last season, not 2.83, it was 2.31. And again, from over 2.5 goals, 50% of the matches had over 2.5, whereas last season it was around about the 40% mark. So look, we've seen an instant change there. Things might level out, of course, but it just felt to me that the return of the fans just G'd everybody up and maybe forced one or two mistakes as well from defenders who can't hear one another as effectively. They can't communicate as well with a full ground. So, I think more goals this season is likely.
And just remember, Newport have a brand new pitch. It's an artificial surface. We can't be playing those ones anymore at Rodney Parade. Before we get into the game, so we're going to cover 4 Premier League games here today, folks. We're going to do Brentford versus Arsenal, Manchester United against Leeds, Ward Roses early on Saturday. We're going to do Wolves and Leicester, and we're also going to do Tottenham against Man City. Before we get into those, and we also have EFL bets and one bet from Europe. Before we get into those, just want to tell people about a very cool sign-up offer, brand new sign-up offer for the brand new Premier League season that we have available at Matchbook.com. If you're a new customer, you can bet 10, your first 10 quid bet, you'll get 10 for that. And thereafter, once you play that, you'll get a 5 quid bet for your multiples. So that's pretty cool for your Saturday access. And remember, guys, Saturday kickoffs, we got them back, the 3 p.m. kickoffs. You have to love it. Soccer Saturday's back, the whole lot. We're back in the full flow of things. But you have to use bonus code INSIGHTS15, and that's the numbers 15 INSIGHTS 15 to avail of that offer. Pretty good offer to be looking ahead to your weekend access. Don't forget, you can do all of your multiples at Matchbook.com. Let's get to it. Adrian, Clarke, going to come to you first, sir, and we're going to be looking at the Gunners as they open the season at the Brentford Community Stadium. It's the potential to be a very good game, this one, of course. Brentford, a long time waiting to get to the top tier. You can back the Bees at home at 4.4, Arsenal 1.88, the draw available at 3.9. Brentford getting a half a goal start on the Asian handicap at 1.97, and 2.5 is the total. And Adrian, if we look back at the Gunners' second half of the season last season, only Manchester City accrued more points than them after Boxing Day. I know there's a few people getting a bit upset about their pre-season form, but pre-season's there for a reason, isn't it?
Yeah. Look, you wouldn't know that in terms of Arsenal's second half of the season, judging by the mood of the supporters. It's very doom and gloomy, I've got to say. They've made one or two inroads in the transfer market. More is needed for sure for Arsenal to be in a position to challenge for top four this season. Pre-season hasn't been great. There's been no clean sheets, which I think is a slight concern. There's been some good stuff, plenty of good stuff actually. The forwards look really sharp. Lacazette in particular, Nicola Pepe looking lively, but yeah, the injury to Thomas Partey is a blow, because I'm telling you what, boys, Thomas Partey was looking majestic in pre-season, and he's out for 3 weeks. So yeah, he will return in time. But yeah, it's a difficult opener. I don't think there's any denying that. You want to really be playing a newly promoted side a little bit further down the line. There'll be great excitement, frenetic atmosphere, and it won't be easy. And when you go into that game, if you're an Arsenal player with no clean sheets from pre-season, there's a little bit of nerves there as well. So look, I can fully understand why people might be looking at Brentford to take points in this game. 1, potentially 3. The way I'd look at it, or I'd prefer to look at it, is from a goals angle in terms of the bet. Brentford home games, both teams to score over 50%. I think it was 52% of games. It was one of the highest in the division. They were the joint highest actually in the Championship. For both teams to score home or away. So they've been in. They're not watertight. It's basically where I'm going with that. They do concede the odd goal here and there, and they're very attack minded. They will look to try and score goals in the Premier League, no doubt about it. So no, I think this will be a good game. Opening matches in recent seasons have had a habit of being pretty lively affairs. I think Liverpool Leeds, Arsenal Leicester. I remember there've been a few absolute belters at the start of a campaign, and I think this one will feature goals. I was looking at both teams to score. It's 1.75, quite skinny, really. But when you look at Arsenal's defensive record and ability to score goals, then that would appeal. But for me, because the price is better, over 2.5 goals at 1.9 would be my selection. Now, I do like Brentford. I think they're going to be competitive this season. But one thing just to consider ahead of this game is the step up in level from the Championship to the Premier League. It is a vast step up. And you look at the Brentford starting 11, you look at the Brentford squad, where is the Premier League experience? This is new to pretty much everybody, including the manager, Thomas Frank. So for me, Arsenal should be strong favourites, and they are. But I prefer the goals route over 2.5 for me.
Marco, what do you think about this one? I'm thinking you're siding slightly with Brentford in this one.
Yeah, it's not a match I've got a massive view on, in all honesty. And it comes with the caveat as well that I've kind of ignored all pre-season stuff because I don't really pay a huge amount of attention to it. So Brentford obviously come up with a bit of buzz, 7 years in the Championship. They've been knocking on the door for quite some time. Over the last 38 games, they were only bettered by Norwich in terms of points return. They had that playoff hangover from the year previous to get over first. And yeah, they were top scorers in the league. Ivan Toney with 33. He missed the last pre-season game against Valencia, but he will be available. I do think what Thomas Frank has done there has been quite impressive quietly in terms of sort of subtly changing their style. They were quite a gung-ho, expansive team under Dean Smith. He has kind of measured them a little bit more. They're a bit more controlled, a bit more calculated, still very attack-minded, but immediately I think back to when he was brought in, he talked about making them a bit more physical, being unable to be bullied by the teams, and you can see that with some of the signings that they made. So I will obviously
Frank the Tank.
Up for this.
There's a player called Frank the Tank that they brought in, isn't there? Frank Onyeka.
Exactly.
So yeah, that fits the bill perfectly.
They absolutely want to mix it this season, and I don't know. I think you'd be foolish to write off a Matthew Benham team, wouldn't you? So you can see Brentford consolidating. Whether they can repeat what Leeds have done, I'm not so sure. But this is definitely a tricky one for Arsenal. Playing away to a newly promoted team with fans in a new stadium for the first time, being away from the Premier League for 74 years. There are emotional conditions to think about here. Obviously, the squads are poles apart, but it feels like a bit of a banana skin for Arsenal. Like there's no real way they can come through this in flying colours and just win comfortably. And I think back to 12 months ago, people have talked about Arsenal going to Fulham and winning 3-0 on the opening day. It's completely different. Fulham had just been promoted through the playoffs. Their squad was a mess. Arsenal had a decent pre-season after the way things ended the previous season. This time around, players have been away at Euros, internationals. It's been a bit stop and start really. So I do like Arsenal's prospects of top six this season, but I just feel this might be a bit of a banana skin. So I'd rather have Brentford on side at the prices. You can get Brentford plus 3/4 on the handicap at around 1.78, and I think that's absolutely fine because we'll only lose half our stake if Arsenal win this match by exactly one. I'd be surprised if they ran out comfortable winners, put it that way.
AC, just on your bet, you're looking at the over 2.5 goals at 1.9. There actually was a small bit of margin. The other one, it's actually 1.8 both teams score. Yes, would that sway you back towards that one? Or are you kind of happy enough to stay in the 2.5?
No, I'm happy because I think both teams are likely to score. But if Brentford are overawed by the occasion, which I don't think they will be, but there is a possibility. It is a step up in class. There is a possibility that Arsenal could run out easy winners. So no, I'm going to go with 2.5 goals. I think Ivan Toney will be a big threat. Pablo Mari's not been in great form. He'll certainly look to play on his shoulder. He's not the quickest, Pablo Mari. He'll want to keep away from Ben White, who does look good. So no, I give Brentford chances to score. They're a good pressing team as well. And Arsenal have been caught 2 or 3 times playing out from the back during the friendly games as well. So no, I give Brentford a chance of causing Arsenal problems. But I also believe that even though they've gone to a 3 at the back system, which is a bit more secure, Brentford, I think Arsenal's front players have the class and the quality to open up at times in this game. So no, I'm going to stick with over 2.5.
Okay, and Mark's collection is Brentford plus 3/4 goal. That'll appear on site is 0.5 slash is 1.0. So half your bet on 0.5 and half at 1.0. That's 1.78. Great to see Ivan Toney up in the big league. And I'll tell you, Christopher Ayer is a great signing from Celtic as well. I think that's really going to solidify that back three there as well. All right, let's move on. Manchester United, Leeds. Pretty good fixture for the opening weekend of the season, gentlemen. I must say, indeed. You can back, let's take a look at the betting as we have it currently at matchbook.com. You can back Manchester United at 1.57, Leeds at 6.0, the draw available at 4.5. Leeds getting a goal start on the Asian handicap, full goal 1.0, 2.0 is the price, and the total is I suppose a high enough one. We're expecting that with a Leeds game in general. Anyway, 3 is the total, but shaded towards the under at 1.86. As with Marco here, everyone's going to be expecting to see Jadon Sancho and Rafael Varane. They're probably starting the bench for United. What were you thinking with this one? Leeds, I think a lot of people kind of have forgotten that Leeds, a 9th place finish last year, is nothing to be sniffed at. Are they good enough to keep it close here at Old Trafford?
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to start with United because I think there's more question marks over United coming into this game than Leeds. And, we were reasonably negative towards them throughout last season.
Hell yeah.
They finished second, but they were miles away from City. Liverpool didn't have a defence. Chelsea only played for half the season. And United's underlying numbers actually ranked them as the 4th best teams. So Solskjaer was given a new deal, surprisingly so. Sancho has been signed. Varane, I don't think it's actually been completed yet. I still think they're waiting on something there, which is obviously a little bit unnerving. I might be wrong. I don't believe it's a completed transfer just yet. So on the field, the squad isn't far off challenging for the top teams. But again, it goes back to Solskjaer. Is he good enough to get the better of those coaches in the top 4? I don't think he is over a 38-game season. I don't think they fixed the defensive midfield issue. Fred and McTominay are absolutely fine, but I still think it's a priority area which could do with upgrading. So the proposed 11 looks strong for Saturday, but you've got to take it with, a couple of issues really. Varane, I don't believe is signed, so he hasn't trained yet with United. Pogba only returned on Tuesday. Sancho only returned on Monday. So I'd need a bit more information before I got kind of excited about this United team at the weekend.
Yeah, and I think Cavani's out as well, Mark. I think Cavani's a big
there. Yeah, Rashford as well. I think that should really encourage Leeds. It's easy to look back at last season and see they were smashed up 6-2 in a really chaotic and quite entertaining game. But towards the end of the season, Bielsa seemed to fix those problems. Leeds finished the season with the 2nd best defence over the final 15 games. That included conceding just 3 goals in 5 games against City, United, Liverpool, Chelsea and Spurs. So first up for United, this is a really awkward game, just because of Leeds' style, the relentless press, the energy, how well drilled they are under Bielsa. Just the one change from last season, Junior Firpo will come in for Alioski at left back, who he didn't have the greatest time with Barcelona, but you consider it wouldn't be a huge downgrade. Other than that, it's unclear whether Phillips will play because he's late back from Euros duty as well. But otherwise, it's as you were for Leeds, and I think that sort of continuity should stand them in really good stead for this match. Particularly only a few of their players were involved in the Euros and went too far in a competition as well. So, yeah, I'd be looking at Leeds plus a goal and a quarter on the Asian handicap at 176 or around that mark. Knowing the only way we lose out really is if United win this game by 2 goals or more. They could well do. Clearly, they've got the squad capable of doing it, but opening weekend, anything goes really. And I just think of all the teams you want to play, Leeds probably wouldn't be towards the top of the list just because of their style and because Bielsa will have them absolutely ready for this match. I'm not trying to play devil's advocate here, but I think Firpo might be a doubt as well, Mark. I think they might have to plug Stuart Dallas in the left, but we will wait and see on that. And that's 1.7. You can currently back Leeds plus 1.25. Adrian Clarke, I think you may be coming at this from a different angle.
I can certainly see the value in that, and I think that's a good handicap, isn't it? I think if you can get 1.25 at 1.7 or above, that has to appeal because Leeds are very competitive. We saw it towards the end of the season. Okay, City weren't really at it at the end because it was all wrapped up, but they won at the Etihad. So they've proved that they can go to these big stadiums and perform. Reasons to go against Leeds would be that they've conceded a lot of goals in pre-season. I know Mark doesn't take a lot of stock in it, and he's probably right not to take too much notice, but they've been conceding 2 or 3 goals a game, which is mildly concerning. Their away form against the top 8 last season was leaky with a capital L. They did average 3 goals against per game, but of course that 6 at Manchester United skewed it a little bit. But yeah, they weren't great, and they haven't really addressed it. Firpo at left back, even though he's not available this weekend, I'm not sure he's much of a defensive upgrade. So yeah, that's an issue, I think, moving forward. United are weakened. I think no Rashford, no Cavani, no Sancho is not ideal, but there is enough there to win the game. Bruno Fernandes and is back and played all right the other day. Mason Greenwood apparently very good against Everton. And it was a handsome win, 4-0. So they'll be feeling quite good about themselves, I think, Manchester United coming into the game. My pick would probably be Manchester United to win and over 2.5 goals. It's the obvious play because of the Leeds factor, because maybe, it was 6-2 last season, and United have been involved in a few high-scoring games. I think they were ranked 3rd and 4th last season in terms of having the most matches over 2.5 goals, Manchester United and Leeds. So they tend to be involved in more thrillers than most, more entertaining games than most. So yeah, Manchester United and over 2.5 gives you a bit of value on United if you wanted to back United, because United are skinny, aren't they? I wouldn't be punting on them at 1.56, no way. But I think you can get 2.24 on United to win, and they're being over 2.5 goals. So that's an alternative way to look at it. But I absolutely could get behind the Leeds on that big handicap, because I think it'll be relatively close.
Well, you know what? Manchester United 2-1 win, and we win on both sides, albeit only 50% on Mark's one. But yeah, look, I can see both cases there. We'll make a decision later on when we do our bet recap. Right? I don't know. I'll be thinking about it.
Going to sit on it. Going to make us sweat.
Absolutely going to make you sweat on that one. I think I'm actually going out for that game on Saturday with a few of the Manchester United Matchbook guys. So that'll tell you. Maybe we should back Leeds and just piss them off further. Yeah, that'd be good. All right, let's move on. We're going to talk about, and we did piss those guys off last season, being our anti-Manchester United. All right, let's look at Leicester Wolves, 3 o'clock Saturday. Like I said, 3 o'clock Saturday. Love these fixtures. And we get more than one for a change. You can back the Foxes at home at 1.72, Wolves at 5.6. The draw available just a 4.0, just moved from 3.8. You're getting a bit more value at Matchbook. Wolves getting 3/4 a goal start on the Asian handicap at odds against 2.02. And the goal line is 2.5, shade towards the under 1.85. And Adrian, you already know this. The last 4 fixtures between these teams, there's only been 1 goal. 1 goal in the last 4 fixtures. But we don't believe in trends on the Matchbook Betting Podcast. We don't believe. We don't?
I do. Mr. O'Hare doesn't. He doesn't like historical trends. He hates them. He despises them.
Well, my favourite one last season was the Swansea and Cardiff one, the Welsh derby. That was one for the ages. But go on, take us away here, because I think you like Wolves as well, maybe with an Asian handicap start.
Well, look, if you do think this is going to be another bore fest, and recent history would suggest that that's not a bad shout, under 2.5 is backable at 1.85. So something to consider. I think this is a close game. I really do. Bruno Lage in charge of Wolves for the first time in competitive action. He is going to have them well drilled. He will have them really, really disciplined. He's going to want to get off to a positive first impression, isn't he, with the Wolves fans? I think pre-season has been mixed, to say the least. But you've got Raul Jimenez back, which is a massive boost for Wolves, and it instantly gives them more chance, doesn't it, of picking up a victory. And yeah, I think that Wolves freshened up by a new man at the helm, because they were so stale at the end of last season, weren't they? But yeah. I believe Nuno would have got sacked. I think there was a gentleman's agreement there that he walks away rather than being sacked. For me, they were heading into a brick wall under Nuno. Their race was run. It needed fresh blood, new ideas. And for that reason, I think Wolves have got a chance here. Obviously, Leicester, great result against City in the Community Shield. They've recruited well again with Bertrand. I think that's a smart pickup. Samare and Patson Daka, I'm really excited about. I think he could end the season as Leicester's main striker. I think he's that good. So he could potentially sort of take over from Jamie Vardy as the first choice in time. But yeah, they're struck by injuries, aren't they, Leicester? At the back, Fofana out long term. Evans, I don't think, is available. So yeah, a revived Wolves up against a slightly weakened Leicester. I think it's a close game, and it's been a close game in recent seasons. Nil-nillers, 1-nillers. So yeah, Wolves +1 is certainly interesting. 1.7, I think, last time I looked, Sully. So yeah, Wolves with a goal start is my selection here. But look, if you want to go under 2.5, yeah, go for it. Fill your boots.
Yeah. I love how Wolves changed from Nuno. They got the Portuguese manager. Like, honestly, they just want to change their club colours to red and green at this stage. Just Portuguese, Jorge Mendes influence.
Yeah. On that, he is supposed to be slightly more attack-minded. He did do a really good job over there with Benfica. He comes with a good reputation. So they might be better to watch, Wolves. But I just think this is a tough opener. They will think of a draw as a decent result here, Wolves.
I think most coaches are more attack-minded than Nuno. We'll get to him in a while. Marco here, what are you thinking? What are you thinking with this one, mate? I think you're going to. I teed it up there at the start. Regards, there's been plenty of bore fest between those teams. Would you expect a few goals anyway at the King Power?
Yeah, there's always a kind of degree of guesswork on opening weekend, trying to predict 11s and systems and approaches, and there's always that randomness as well. But yeah, I'm kind of having to read between the lines a little bit here, but I think both teams to score is underrated at 2.1. Adrian hinted at it there. Leicester have got really bad issues defensively. Fofana and Evans are out, leaves them quite short at centre half. Who do they play? It was Amati filled in at centre back in the Community Shield. Pereira played at right back. Okay, he's not been the same player since his injuries. Bertrand at left back is reasonable. But yeah, I mean, they have got issues there. But I do like them going forward. Again, Adrian's talked about it, but Daka, a really, really good signing. But yeah, going back to defence, I didn't mention as well, Castagne's out, Mendy's out, Justin's out. Siunchu had a dreadful Euros as well. So yeah, big question marks about them defensively. But whereas going forward, Barnes and Maddison are available, Vardy, Iheanacho, Daka, Jose Perez as well. There's some exciting prospects and combinations there, and ability off the bench to come and make a difference if needs be for Leicester too. So kind of both boxes, there's advantages here for both teams to score. Then you flip it over to Wolves, and Bruno Lage has come with a reputation to play a much more offensive and attack-minded approach from Wolves. That's the promise we're being fed, and Wolves fans are being told. So much they've been relying on the counter-attack and set pieces under Nuno. Well, we should see a more proactive team from them. There's been a change in the goal, but apart from that, Trincao might come in. Obviously got Raul Jimenez back. Adama could be leading the line here as well. Gibbs White's had a very good pre-season, apparently. There is no Neto or Podence, but I still think there's enough in that forward line to cause a Leicester team with injuries, issues. But Wolves have also got injuries. Bolly's out, Mosquera's out as well. And there's talk that Lager's going to have to sort of abandon his preferred 4-4-2 and go back to the tried and trusted 3-4-3 or 3-5-2. So yeah, I think they're vulnerable. I don't think they'll be up to speed either with his own methods and how he wants to play just yet either. So yeah, I think this is being priced up on last season, and Wolves being that kind of dire, dreadful, stale team. I think they're probably going to be a bit better than that going forward. A bit of a gamble, obviously, selecting this coach. He started brilliantly at Benfica, but it all ended quite abruptly there as well. So, don't want to try and change too much too soon. And I'll be interested to see how this game pans out. The market is trending in Adrian's way. Leicester are drifting. So if you're going to get on Wolves +1, I'd get on soonish, because at the moment, I don't think that price will be available for come Saturday. But I like both teams to score. I think that the price is too big. As I say, priced on last season, whereas I think the reality is both teams have issues in defence, and I think both teams are quite happy going forward at the moment.
Yeah, like Mark said, Leicester are moving. So actually the money is coming for Wolves. So back Wolves at +1 at 1.7, because if you are one liking the Wolves, that's the way the market is going. It's going with them. All right, let's move on, gentlemen. The last game we're going to cover on the main slate is Tottenham versus Manchester City. Of course, this is the Sunday evening kickoff in North London, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and you can back the Spurs at 5.7, Manchester City at 1.65, the draw available 4.3, Tottenham getting a full goal start in the Asian handicap at 1.85, and the total is 2.75, which appears inside 2.5/3.0, and it's shaded towards the under. Mark O'Hare, of course, look, we're not going to get all narratives here about Harry Kane and whatnot, but we're surely not going to read too much into Manchester City's loss in the Community Shield last week as well. This is goal time now for City again, and they surely will have enough for Tottenham here. Yeah,
I think so. I'm going back to our go-to bet of the Euros, which is a team to win under 3.5 goals. And I think you've got to be with City because the price is 2.4, which is, I think, really attractive. I don't think they will be up to speed yet. The Community Shield 11 kind of prove that as well. We know that Foden and De Bruyne are missing. Grealish can come into the team. I'd still expect City's squad to probably be good enough to see the Spurs team away. However, Nuno has had the Indian sign over Pep a few times with Wolves, so there's a bit to concern. And in a similar sort of bracket in which Spurs have caused City problems, under Mourinho, similar sort of attitude in terms of conservation and playing from set pieces and the counter-attacks, etc. But yeah, Kane will dominate the headlines, and there's talk he's back in full training from Thursday, so could be in with a chance of being in the squad. I think it's unlikely he starts, but even still, that's the talk. And Son's been starting up front in pre-season, who again suits the sort of counter-attacking approach that Nuno might take. Brian Hill, who I think is a fantastic addition, he's going to be knackered after playing in the Olympics, so he's only returned this week. And the proposed 11 from Spurs at this stage is pretty uninspiring. From what I've seen, it's Dyer and Sanchez at centre-back, Reguilon and Tanganga at full-backs, a midfield trio of Højbjerg, Skip and Ali, then Bergwijn, Lucas Moura and Son. So, it's not great, is it? So they have showed a way under Mourinho how to get the better of City, but I thought they're incredibly fortunate to get those results back in time. Nuno will probably offer a bit more than just what Mourinho did, but even still, the framework will be there to work from. So I don't expect a huge amount from Spurs. I just think City's ability should see them through. I haven't got a huge amount of notes here, to be honest. I just think City are the better team. Normally, I'll probably snap up that 165 on them just to win the game. But knowing where they're at and where the players are probably out after the summer, I think I'd rather take the bigger price and throw under 3.5 goals into the mix.
Yeah, so City to win and under 3.5 is currently available at 2.48. So it's actually a small bit of a drift. We love those markets. And don't forget, actually, folks, we've actually added like double the amount of markets that we had last year. So there's 1.5, there's 2.5, there's 3.5, there's 4.5 in there with those combinations. Because generally speaking, Manchester City, especially if they're at home, they're going to be a hell of a low price. But if you check it out at matchbook.com, you'll be able to pair them with those goals. Adrian, Clarke, before we get your opinion on this game, give me your opinion on a trending topic this week. Is Jack Grealish worth £100 million sterling? Yes or no? Answers on a postcard.
I think so. Yeah, I do. I rate him. I love watching him. That's for sure. And his end product was, you couldn't argue with it at Aston Villa. You really couldn't. And I think he can only get better. Working with Pep Guardiola, playing with the players around him, with the more sophisticated movement, he'll improve. And yeah, he's a class player. A little bit different to most in the Premier League. So yeah, it is a lot of money, and he's earning absolute fortunes, isn't he? But good luck to him. City didn't really need that type of player. They've just gone out and got him, which goes to show their strength, their financial muscle, doesn't it? So I think I can't see him failing. Is my short answer.
Yeah, I'd say we're going to see a whole lot of false nines this season by the looks of it. Well, what's your opinion of this one on Sunday evening?
Yeah, very similar to Mark. Yeah, I like that bet too. It's quality. I think surely City and Pep have wised up to playing Spurs away. They've lost 3 times in all competitions at this new stadium. All of the games have been really, really similar. They've bossed it. And they've been picked off quite early as well in a couple of the games. They've been caught cold. I expect them to be sharpened up mentally ahead of this one. Spurs, it's all about pace. I've written a piece on this for the Premier League. I don't think it's out yet, but I was looking at Spurs and Son up top. Son's record without Harry Kane is 0.54 goals a game. His record with Harry Kane, where he's obviously more shunted to the side, it's around 0.32 goals per game. So it's a big old difference for Son Heung-min. He scores better than 1 in 2 basically when Kane's not there. So that's not a problem. They do have a pace advantage. Son, Bergwijn and Moura are all rapid. And while City's defence isn't slow, in that left-back slot, whether it's Mendy or Zinchenko, they're nowhere near those kind of speeds. So yeah, look, they've got a threat on the break, and I think they'll be quite direct. I watched the game Spurs-Arsenal pre-season. They went long quite a lot, Spurs, looking for those balls over the top for Son, for Bergwijn, for Moura. That's what they'll look to do here. But for me, yeah, City, even though they're a bit undercooked, should have too much. That Spurs rear guard isn't great, is it? It's not strong. Tanganga, Sanchez, Dyer, Reguilon. I think you ask most Spurs fans, they wouldn't mind 3 different players in there to those 4. I think Reguilon would be your number 1 left back. That's it.
Just very quickly on Spurs side, and you saw that game, did you see much of a change from the tactics of Nuno, or is it very much a kind of a similar style of Wolves? Or there's a kind of narrative about that, he's probably going to open it up a bit more now in terms of tactics and
didn't see that in the game. It wasn't a great game. It was quite tentative. Did they use the full width? Not really. The standout from Spurs was how direct they were. That was my takeaway. But they were organised. Arsenal didn't play brilliantly, but they did struggle to open them up greatly. They didn't carve them open too often. So the players seemed well drilled, and we know that that's a Nuno thing. That's a factor of his coaching. So that's another reason I think potentially to look at the under 3.5 goals. I think if City are to win this game, I don't see them smashing Spurs out of sight. I think they'll be as resolute as they can be. I think it's just a quality issue here, and City have better players than Spurs. So yeah, City and under 3.5. That I like that price. I really do.
Okay, yeah, currently available at 2.48 at Matchbook.com. Before we move on to EFL bets in the One European section, guys, going to make my casting votes here for these bets. So again, want to look after bankroll managers, so I don't want to be putting in 8 selections here from 4 games. So let's, for the first game, Mark, I'm going to side with you here. I'm going to take the Bees here at Brentford plus 3/4 of goal, 1.78. Adrian, don't dislike the over 2.5, but I'm just going to take that one in this one. But Adrian, I'm going to side with you at Old Trafford. We're going to go United to win and over 2.5 goals at 2.24. So yeah, I like that one. Nice. Mark, I'm back to you again. Mark, back to you again, mate. A bit of a return serve here. Very much do like the both teams to score in Leicester versus Wolves at 2.1 for a bit. Terrific case for that. And you guys are aligned on the last game, so I don't actually have to follow up with any of you on that one. So there's 4 bets there. Brentford plus 3/4 of goal on Friday night at the Brentford Community Stadium, 1.78. Manchester United to win at Old Trafford and the early kickoff on Saturday and over 2.5 goals. You pair them together, Matchbook.com, you get 2.24. United are about 1.56 currently in the match odds. Both teams to score at the King Power on Saturday afternoon, 3 o'clock kickoff, 2.1. And City to win under 3.5 goals. All right, Adrian Clarke, first EFL selection of the season. Don't forget, you can check out AC's picks on insights.matchbook.com as well. There's bonus picks. So what have you got here? West Brom to beat Luton first off, 1.76.
Yeah, that's what I fancy. Yeah, Luton had a great first day. They smashed Peterborough at home, and there's a lot of excitement around Luton because they've recruited really well this summer. But I still think there's a gulf between them and West Bromwich Albion, who have kept hold of a lot of good players, really good players. And I watched the game against Bournemouth on the opening night, and I was really impressed with the Baggies. I thought that they looked great under Valérien Ismaël. They were pressing high, they were winning the ball in good areas. They were unbelievably dangerous from set pieces. Every time the ball went into the box, you felt like they might score. and they've got got good forward players still, Dean Garner and Robinson and guys like that. So they're Carl and Grant. So yeah, for me, I looked at the price here, and I thought relegated West Bromwich Albion, really strong, fancied to go up. You can get them at 1.76 on the nose to beat Luton Town. Now, Luton lost 9 of 11 games against top half sides last season away from home. Lost 9 of 11 on the road to the teams that finished above them. Now, Albion will finish above Luton this year. This is away from home. I think they're up against it, and I would have expected West Bromwich Albion to be a bit shorter than what they are. So for me, 1.76. I'll have some of that.
Yeah, like you said, parachute payments and all that. They're pretty much fancied to go back up. Marco, here you're dipping down to League Two. You tipped your hat earlier on the show about Swindon, but you have them here plus a quarter of a goal versus Carolina, and it's currently 1.8. What's the case here?
Yeah, I mentioned that game against Scunthorpe. The caveat is Scunthorpe are relegation candidates in League Two. So what's the barometer of Swindon beating them quite comfortably away from home? We don't know at this stage. But we do know they'll be better prepared for this game. They've obviously had another week under their belt in terms of prep. They continue to strengthen their squad. And I think they played really well considering the circumstances last weekend to get that win as well. So I do like their prospects this week. I do think they've been slightly undervalued considering the summer that they've been through. You look at the first 11 they put out at Scunthorpe, it was very, very good for League Two standards. And, I think rather than being relegation candidates, they're now considering to be potential outsiders for the playoffs, really, if they continue to build this squad. I'm not necessarily in love with the head coach, but even still, if they continue to invest, there is opportunity to progress. Now, I do like Carlisle. I really like their coach, Chris Beach. Enjoyed what they put together last season, got hampered by COVID, but they started their season with a 0-0 draw at home to Colchester, probably deserved more. Since they've lost key centre-back Aaron Hayden, Zach Clough, who was touch and go, got injured, probably likely to be less than 100% for this game as well. And then you've obviously got the old adage of a long away journey as well. So Carlisle only won 6 away games last season, 3 of 10 away at Southern clubs, most of which were languishing in the bottom half. And you go into the county ground here, Swindon team, their first competitive home game under the new ownership, new management. There's buzz around Swindon again in Wiltshire as well. So I think that will give them an extra lift. So yeah, first I looked at Swindon. I thought they're a bit undervalued here at 2-1 at home. Draw no bet was around 2.15. I'm actually just going to take it the extra step and get the plus quarter goal on side at 1.8 because we're basically making money if they avoid defeat here. The only way in which we'll lose is if Carlisle go there and get the victory. I don't think these prices will be around in a couple of weeks' time. I think people will realise Swindon are actually a reasonable team now at League Two level, considering the players that they brought in, and the longer they stick together, the team will gel, be prepared better, and I think they'll can start to look upwards rather than be considered in the bottom two conversation.
Good stuff. Swindon, when we're saying quarter of goal there, you'll see it on screen if you're watching, but if you're listening on the podcast, it'll appear on the site as Swindon plus 0.0/0.5. Adrian, Clarke, get a goals bet from you from League One, MK Dons and Sunderland.
Yeah, we started the show, didn't we? Talking about the fans being back and the likelihood is that we'll see more goals. And I do believe in that theory, certainly in the first few weeks. And this one, to me, just has the look of goals. And MK Dons brought in a lot of good attacking players this summer, and they were all excellent actually in the game at Bolton, which was 3-3. It was a fantastic match last weekend, but at the back, definitely a work in progress. Now, for those of you who don't know, Russell Martin was the manager, philosophy manager. Everyone has been brought in to play his style of football. He's gone to Swansea City, left them in the lurch basically a few days before the start of the season, and their legendary player, veteran Dean Lewington is in charge, caretaker charge. Not ideal, a little bit in limbo. And look, they performed for him last weekend. It was an excellent performance, but they still conceded 3 goals, and they're up against a Sunderland team that I think are a proper team. Really impressed with them against Wigan on the opening day. Centre half, they've got him from City, 17 years of age, Callum Doyle. He was unbelievable by all accounts. So remember that name. Corey Evans in midfield, coming from Blackburn, good central midfielder. So they're more solid. Sunderland, but they've still got loads of goals. McGeady was still good the other day, and of course last year away from home they were second highest goal scorer Sunderland under Lee Johnson. They'll attack whether it's home or away, really. So no, I think this could be a really entertaining game, and I am going to go for over 2.5 goals, as you can see on the screen, 1.95, which I think is quite a good price actually on that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the match.
Yeah, I suggest that price would be bigger. There's a small bit of margin in that, as we're recording obviously a bit earlier now on Wednesday ahead of Saturday's games. A game, Adrian, that we were very much looking forward to this weekend. There's Portuguese Premier Liga. And Mark O'Hare is going to tell us why. Santa Clara against Morenese. Mark, what's the bet?
You did a better job than I would at pronouncing the away team in this game, Sully. This is one to monitor, really. I'm not saying go and back this right now, but certainly something to bear in mind. So Santa Clara are playing in the Europa Conference League on Thursday night in the qualification tie away in Slovenia. They're travelling to that game with 14 players, one of which is a goalkeeper. 9 players tested positive for COVID, and a couple of the behind-the-scenes staff have as well. Obviously not ideal, considering they started their league campaign last weekend and lost 3-0 to Tondela, who are a team, not considered to be in the top 6 in Portugal. So it's whether these 9 players are available again for Sunday's game. Even if they are, it's obviously been a difficult week for Moreirense. So there's no guarantee they'll be available. So I'm happy to, Santa Clara, there's no guarantee they'll be available. So I'm happy to oppose the hosts. Moreirense went away to Benfica on the opening day. Obviously a tough opening match. Only lost the game 2-1. They weren't overawed at all. They stayed in the game pretty well. So I like the look of them, +0 on the Asian handicap at even money, basically the draw no bet. So I'm just monitoring the markets ready for the next 24 hours, possibly a bit more, see what happens on Thursday night in the Europa Conference League, and then making a judgment. But at the moment, the market hasn't kind of caught up with the fact that they are riddled with COVID. So yeah, something to bear in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. One to be watching, one to be very aware of, obviously, the whole COVID factor. It ain't gone away, unfortunately. Don't forget, we've rattled through a lot of bets. There's 4 bets in the Premier League and 3 in the EFL, 1 in Portugal. You can check them all out. And the guys' written previews at insights.matchbook.com throughout the season. They're going to be there. We don't mind if you do a small bit of cheating, but please do watch the podcast as much as you can, of course. And yeah, we'll do weekend best bets. Adrian Clarke. Fill me in. What's the best bet of that?
Well, I
presume we've discussed it. You're going to just throw one into that. I knew you were going to do that. Go on, yeah.
Out of spite, I'm tempted to just bring in Brentford Arsenal over 2.5 goals, since you knocked it off the slate. But hand on heart, the one that I'm most confident in is West Brom to beat Luton. I don't see any other result. 1.776. It's not the biggest price, but that's the most likely winner in my opinion.
Back on the EFL train, Adrian Clarke has plenty of EFL winners, let me tell you. Paid for 1 or 2 of my holidays. Mark O'Hare, don't spite me and pick Leeds here now in this one.
I had my best bet, and I'm just toying with the idea of going with Man City and under 3.5 because the price is quite nice. But I'm going to take the value price because I do believe this price won't be around in 2-3 weeks' time. That's the Swindon +1/4 goal. They were one of only 2 away winners in League 2 last weekend. Obviously, back at the county ground, should be a good atmosphere, playing personnel in situ, some good signings. Carlisle coming off a long journey, and yet to sort of consistently produce the goods away from home under Chris Beach. So, and obviously their key centre back sold as well. So, I think there's an opportunity there for Swindon to get a result or at least avoid defeat. So, Swindon +1/4 goal. All
right, show number 1 of the season in the books. Thank you for watching today, guys. Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed the Euros content, if you've enjoyed our content in general, if you're brand new to the show and you have enjoyed today's show, please try and give us a 5-star or even a 4.5-star review on iTunes, or give us the thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. It helps us something to do with algorithms. My thanks to Adrian. My thanks to Mark. Gentlemen, 9 months ahead of us. Really looking forward to it. Can't wait. Enjoy the opening and bring it on. Enjoy the opening weekend, folks, and we'll chat to you again next Thursday morning. Take care.